This is the UBIX end-to-end no-code demonstration. So we can be accessed through any login, and once we've logged in, we're a cloud-based platform. And first thing we're doing is getting access to our data. So we clicked on data space, went into our connection space environment, we selected SAP by design, and now we're interacting with the entire SAP schema to actually interact with the data that we want to work with. We set the interval which we want data transfers coming into UBIX and our different applications. Now we're further accessing additional data sources that we want to pull within the system. This is important because we allow it to be an augmented intelligence platform, and that platform allows us to sit on top of any infrastructure and actually work with the data that we want to turn into analytics products. We don't necessarily have to integrate with all data, right? So we allow you to specify and declare what data you want to work with. And once we've worked with the data, we have every workspace that has all the different data information. It allows you to understand your data at a whole new level and be accessible through any browser. You see all the different workspaces of different source data that we have connection into, but you also have production data that will come from the workflows that we establish here. We're now in our model space environment that allows us to establish a new workspace to start solving a problem. It allows us to add permissions and create small work groups or allow everyone to access and interact with the application. So we're going in and we're specifying what data sources, this is what we just created, and now we're pulling in specific data that we want to interact with within this workspace. What it does here is it now tailors the follow-on workflow screens to only be with the data that we've pulled into the workspace. That data is also then, we can always come back to this area of data access and get access to this information or add additional data as we get into a workflow or we add solutions within that workflow. You can see on the far left, you have all of the data that we're working with, and you've started to create a solution. And those underlying steps are actions. So each action that we take within the model space is a step of transforming the data into an overall analytics product. This is going to go really fast because we sped up the time so we can show and drive home the end-to-end aspect of this solution. But what we're doing here is we're getting access to information such as leads, opportunities, quotes, sales orders, and invoices. All of that data is going to be pulled in to create a pipeline intelligence, understanding how that moves through the process, understand reporting and productivity of salespeople, et cetera. So in each action, you see this action space canvas that allows you to establish, ways in which you can transparently work with the data. So nothing's a black box within UBIX. It allows you to come in here. So the first step, this is going to go into hyperspeed, is that you select a function that's going to perform a specific routine. Then you map the data to that function and you execute it. Within each one of those steps, you can also, within the actions, you can run multiple executions by altering execution parameters and other points associated with that function. That allows you to run various model training exercises and other things like that that result in better outcomes. And then you accept and promote the most proficient outcome that results in the best conclusions. And then that moves on to the next stage within the process. So within this thing, we've completed a complete data aggregation as well as understanding of exactly where the stage is the pipeline in a real-time environment. So as new data comes in, it can move throughout the pipeline with that workflow. Now we're going to build an application on top of this. And what we have here is our solution space app builder. And it's a no-code app builder that allows us to select various widgets and widget layouts. And so the page layout that we have here is called a widget layout. And the widgets that we selected was a pipeline report. And so in here, we've mapped the data that we just created within the workspace data on the left. And now that data comes to life within that application. And now we want to interact with that application. And so we're going to start doing constraints within that data. And so these are filters, things such as, product and salesperson and territory and all the things that you would want to do with exploring the data that we've just created around your entire pipeline. And so you're not just building a report here, you're building a full application. So this is a web-based application that will be brought to life within our solution space environment. You can see that the interactions are easy and it immediately comes to life once you build them. And now we're creating a new layout. This is now a geographic look. And so again, we follow the same process. We select the layout, we select the widget, and we map the data, and then we build the navigations. And that brings to life what the application for, think of this as BI on top of AI, right? So you've got your business intelligence layer on top of AI workflows. And this could be interacting in this example from, since our point is to drive home the end-to-end aspect of this solution, it's really focusing on more of a descriptive analytic, but then you can ask it different questions, right? So the different questions that you want to interact with within the system, such as, okay, well, how do we define success within the activities that lead up to a closed deal? How is who are my most proficient sales reps? What geographic territories or fast moving products are there? And so you build a foundation such as what we've done here, which is a foundation around truly understanding the end-to-end process of our pipeline. And then we add additional solutions on top of it. So this is just one solution to that foundation. We can go up and add another solution. But one other point that we want to show is that we actually have one-click productionization. We can bring something to life with one click. IBM did a study years ago that said 87% of models that have efficacy never reach production. And that's because the cost to productionize is really hard, right? And challenging and fraught with a bunch of different integrations, et cetera. Since UBIX is a live data system, we connect to the source, it's very easy for us to bring something to life and bring an application to life just like what you're seeing here. So this is a full application that has permissions that any person that has the authority to access it within your organization now is interacting with an application within our solution space environment. So that shows kind of our end-to-end aspect, but also it's very important to note that we have real-time predictions as well. And those real-time predictions are brought to life in a REST endpoint, a model as a REST endpoint. And that model as a REST endpoint can bring to life real-time intelligence in any one of your processes. So that's the quick tour of UBIX, and thank you so much for your time.